Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My dear students, today we are going to start our first lecture, which is regarding the introduction of the software architecture. My name is Dr. Muhammad Ali Mehman, and I'm an associate professor at the University of Sindh. This is subject is being taught as a in the sixth semester of the third year of Bachelor of Science. Prerequisite of these subjects are the software engineering and more precisely software requirements engineering. So before going to start this lecture, we must have a basic knowledge of the basic principles of software engineering, especially regarding the software development life cycle, the process models, the plan driven process models, the agile driven process models, software quality assurance, software testing, different basic phases of analysis and design. And another prerequisite is about understanding of software requirement specification, the process of how the requirements are gathered before actually moving towards the second phase of software design. Software requirements are part of the software analysis phase, and when we are done with the software requirements, then we move on to the software design phase, in which we have preliminary step of building the software architecture, which is more at the abstract level, and then we move on to the more technical details and implementation details at the software design level. So first, let us understand what exactly a software architecture is, and more importantly, what is an architecture. So wherever we go and visit places at different cities and in different countries, we see the different structures of the different kind of buildings, and each building is different from, or each structure, constructed structure is different from the another building or another structure, and that structure has the different shapes, different sizes, uh, different capacity, different space that is being occupied, the circulation of the air, the sunlight, and there are several other things that are considered while building those the huge skyscrapers or buildings. Initially, in when beginning of not we can say precisely the mankind, but previously few decades before, we don't have such huge buildings, but with the advent of technology and building of new architectures, we can see the huge buildings, and also those buildings which support the even the earthquake proofs or bomb proof, etc., etc. So all of those buildings, before actually jumping into the construction of those structures, we have a basic uh, structure or a basic uh, we can say the preliminary prototype or shape that is being built at the very low level. So whenever a new project is launched, for that project we can see the basic architecture that is being built, that how that particular building is going to look like. So for example, building a place, we need some bricks and wood, we go find some masons or carpenter that can actually construct those building, and then we start building the place. When we start building the place and we don't consider the architecture of the building, how it is going to look like, it whether it is going to look like a small wall or whether it is going like a small hut. So we need to be clear, and before we need to be precise, considering the requirements of the client, that what he or she or that particular company wants. We need to build an architecture that how that particular building is going to look alike. So what is an architecture? not from software point of view, but it is an action or process for building or construction, a plan for organizing the space, a systematic arrangement of information or ideas, the manner in which components of a computer or computer systems are organized and integrated. So, how a space is properly utilized, how considering the need that what our client wants from that particular building, or how different components of a computer. We have seen the motherboard. In that motherboard, with several ICs working together, and we have a place for everything: the CPUs, the caches, the registers, how they are organized, and eventually how they are integrated with together, how they are linked together to share the information and to process the information. So before actually building the motherboard of a computer or building a computer as a whole, we need to first design architecture, what kind of components are going to be integrated, how they are going to communicate with each other, how they are going to work together, and utilizing as much or as small a space as possible. Not very long ago, most of the you have already seen this kind of a guy. If you have seen the Matrix movie, when he says that I am the architect and I created the Matrix. So he's the man in the movie that is being shown in the that he is the one who actually architected or designed the Matrix. So just a small gag. It actually shows importance. If you see the Matrix movie, it actually mimics the virtual world. It mimics real world into the virtual environment. So the people who are actually relying in the virtual world, they cannot feel the difference of virtual world and the real world. तो अब जो virtual reality है उसमें आप देखोगे तो आप virtual reality glasses पहन के आप completely एक different environment में चले जाते हैं. तो इस मैट्रिक्स मूवी का भी कॉन्सेप्ट जो है, जो 1990s के दौर में आई थी, कॉन्सेप्ट यही है. 1990 या 2000 के दौर में आई थी कि उसका कॉन्सेप्ट यही है कि द पीपल हु आर एक्चुअली sleeping in the real environment, but they are moving, eating, and doing everything in the virtual environment that is designed in a way that a person who is in virtual environment cannot distinguish whether it is real or not. How beautiful, how stable that matrix is designed. So whenever you are going to build a building, you need an architect. You need to design that architecture, and then that architecture is delivered to the people or masons or developers who are going to actually realize that architecture into the complete whole building. Similar way, a software architecture or software architect will design the different set of diagrams consisting of the several components of the system, their interaction with each other, the information that they are going to share at the very high level. It is going to design, and then that architecture is handed over to the people or the developers or coder who are going to actually develop the application based on that software architecture. In the 1950s and 60s, a famous scientist, Dijkstra, you might have known a very famous algorithm of Dijkstra algorithm. He is the one who actually, in the late 1950s and 16, there were very small programs that were being written. So the people who knew only to know how to program itself. That's it, not more than that. So this is the guy who actually proposed that we need to arrange the structure of such programs, such software systems, by not only doing the simple programming. The systematic arrangement of these software systems or programs was proposed by the Dijkstra, and after that there came layered structures or layered architectures where programs are grouped into layers. So the programs in one layer can only communicate with the programs in adjoining layers. They cannot bypass or surpass the adjacent layer to communicate with the third layer. The best example of that uh, communication is operating system. So if you see your operating system like Windows, so in the Windows run on your computer system, and within that computer system we have the application softwares, and within that Windows we have several applications or several routines or subroutines that actually communicate with the hardware that is installed on your computer system. So whatever application, for example, if you develop a Java program or C++ program, you do not need to consider the working of a hardware. It is the responsibility of the operating system. So within the hardware and within the Java program, there is an intermediate layer, that is the operating system, that actually facilitate the communication of hardware. For example, if you have seen the writing of a text file on a USB drive, so that USB drive, we can write the program in a Java that actually create a text file on a USB drive and write something on it. So that USB drive is a hardware device, and that file was created by the operating system with the functions or subroutines used in the Java programs. With that, it came with the easier development and maintenance by not actually worrying of the hardware structure or hardware things. So in the Java program, by just writing 2 or 3 lines of a code, we can actually create a file in the hardware device, which were nearly might be required thousands of lines of code previously in the late 50s and 60s. So evolution of software problem. So in the 1950s and 1940s, we have simple algorithmic programming. Then it went on to the data intensive and business applications. Then it went on to the large and complex distributed systems, and then the huge mega programs came into existence, as we can see Oracle middleware, Oracle Fusion, etc., etc., or you can say enterprise resource planning systems. So the software problems have changed in nature from algorithmic to general purpose applications, and increased in complexity to millions and millions lines of code. It has now become very hard or impossible to develop system without an architecture. So when you have millions and millions lines of code, so you cannot jump directly into the programming and start writing the code. You need a basic architecture, and within that basic architecture you might require several different teams. For example, in Microsoft, when they are developed the Microsoft Windows, they have several applications, several teams working on different components. Somebody might be working on a Microsoft Paint, so there's a team working on only Microsoft Paint. Somebody is working on defragmentation, somebody on hardware or disk management. Somebody might be working on uh, the media player, etc. There are different teams working on different utilities. They eventually become part of the architecture of the Windows software, and it must have an architecture. The same principle is being followed in the Microsoft Office. So that architecture, they have a basic architecture starting from Office, I think 97. When I started working in the Office, there was an earlier version as well. So after 97 it was 2000, then 2003, then 2005, then 2009, etc., etc. So the basic architecture remains the same, that it has been enhanced. So from 1950s we have a programming in any way which way possible, not considering the complexity, not considering the huge applications, because initially it was being used at the scientific level, at the very core level. Not many people were used to it. Then 1960s and 70s, programming in the small started, in the information hiding, the modularization started. In the 1980s and 1990s, many business applications came into existence. New concepts came into existence with object-oriented designs, case tools, computer-aided case systems for computer-aided software engineering, and several additional libraries that were being developed by different teams in order to incorporate with the existing tools or softwares so that they can be used. Programming the world, the software architecture that came into existence from the 2000, and still it is applicable and is become the need of every software that's being developed. So again, a little reminder of where it all started. From the 1960s, structured programming adopted into programming languages because it's a better way to think about programming. 1970s, structured design, the methodology, the guidelines for dividing programs into subroutines. Subroutines is a very initial a name that is being called for the functions. So initially programming language they used to call them subroutines. The small piece of a code working together that can be repeated or called again and again. We have modular programming languages, modular object-oriented programming, grouping of those subroutines into the modules of data that can be reused in the later programs. Towards software architecture from late 90s, object-oriented analysis design programming started being commonly used, and software architecture design came into the existence. And from 2000, software architectures became the common practice and became the specialization. So in the software houses, you have the software architects. However, in a small organization, we have a mix of normally the system analysts or project managers who work on the software architecture. But in the big organization, you have a proper designation of the people who are called software architects. In the common field like the construction, we already have a common term of people who study only the bachelor's in architecture, that is the 4-year or 5 years program, where they only learn about how they build the huge architectures. But in software development, we don't have that bachelor's in software architectures only, but it is a specialization that is you can proceed for the learning and can actually pursue your career in that field. But to become a software architecture, you must go through from the very beginning of understanding of the programming, and then go to the junior developer, senior developer, team leader, project manager, and so on, so that you become so much experienced enough to actually become a software architect. Sorry. So large scale complex systems, many people working on the same problem, programming in the large millions of lines of a code, and it is overly complex, should be delivered on time and budget. That project cannot be delayed. Only the coding will not do, means if you only start programming for the development of software, that is not going to solve the problem. However, it is going to create one, because all the lines of the code, when it doesn't make any sense that how they are going to integrate with each other, how they are going to share the data with each other, we must have a layout plan for it, so that the different components can communicate with each other. According to Brook, adding more programmers will make a delayed project later. So as much as programmers can be added, it is going to delay the project without a software architecture. So there are different definitions of software architecture. It is being known as a basic artifact shown to the customers and made from the requirements. As I've said, that this is a preliminary step for the software architecture is the gathering of the requirements. So we must have all the requirements gathered, which comprises of the needs of the customers. so that we use those requirements to build the architecture. Even when we go for the construction of a house or building, we must demand, we must ask the needs or wishes of the customer of their, how they're going to construct their home, what kind of requirements, special requirements that they have, how many rooms they have, what kind of space they have that they want allowed, whether single floor, double floor, the foundations or basement, etc., etc. So all the requirements that are gathered, based on those the architecture is made. So that is the basic artifact that is being made, and it is shown to the customers when it is planned. Breaking down the system into components, the whole complete system will be broken down into the different components, smaller modular components, and describing the interrelations between the components, how these components are going to interact with each other. A prototype of the system means it is possible that in software engineering we actually develop a small prototype, the functional small prototype of the system, and show to the customer, like when they are going to when an aviation industry is going to build an aeroplane, they are not going to build the aeroplane at the very huge level. If they are going to use a new technology, they are going to build that at the very prototype level in order to test it. Like the drones, initially when they were not that much popular and were not being used in the industry, they were being developed as a prototype, and when they were stabilized, then they were industrialized. So identify the components of the system along with the interrelation or interaction between them. It is an abstraction of the system. Abstraction means that it is very much away from the technical details or implementation details of the system. Earliest artifact, it can go from one version to another version and then so on, but it is the earliest artifact that the developer team actually makes after the software requirement specification document is made. The software architecture, the logical and physical structure of a system forged by all the strategic and tactical decisions applied during development. Forged का मतलब क्या है? Forged का मतलब है बेसिकली उसको तराशना. जिस तरह का आपको कहे मुझे कुल्हाड़ी बनवानी है, तो वो फोर्ज करते हैं. कोई ऐसे ही इक्विपमेंट बनाना है तो उसको फोर्ज किया जाता है. कोई तलवार बनानी है उसको फोर्ज किया जाता है बेस्ड ऑन द रिक्वायरमेंट्स ऑफ द क्लाइंट. ठीक है. So architecture is a high level structure of a system. So here's the architect which actually gathers the requirements from the clients, and it creates the different views of that architecture. So we have architectural design. It visualizes that architecture, shown to the customer that how your house is going to look like, and it also encapsulates the different detailing of the house that is going to be used by the developers when they start the construction or the cooperation. So this is actually the view where the architect lies and where actually the software architecture plays the important role. The few definitions from the literature. Perry and Wolf distinguish between processing elements, data elements, and connecting elements, and this taxonomy of architecture elements largely persists through most of other definitions and approaches. IEEE definition is software architecture is the fundamental organization of a system, the basic organization of a system, of the initial embodied in its components, their relationships to each other and their environment, and the principles governing its design and evolution. It is going to evolve with the passage of a time, but not at the very huge level. Another definition is the software architecture of a program or a computer system is the structure or structures of the system which comprise software elements, the externally visible properties of those elements and their relationship among them. So these are the few definitions of the software architecture. Some examples that I am going to show you from the literature. So this is one example of software architecture which is actually being use actually the activity diagram. It is very close to the activity diagram from the UML, Unified Modeling Language. Another architectural overview of net reality. diagrams. This is a software architecture. This is also the EOS ground system high level architecture, which comprises of different components. Which component is going to communicate with which component. This is also an example of a software architecture comprises of several components. This is also the J2EE platform, servlet engine EGB application server architecture, comprises of several components, but unfortunately it is not clearly show the interactions or interrelationships between these components, but somehow it is also we can call a block diagram, or also a software architecture. So before the developing or designing of software architecture, we have a pre-architecture life cycle. We have a requirements and we have a quality, and then we have a agreement. That agreement is going to yield the development of the architecture. So we have a stakeholders that are going to deliver the requirements, and with those requirements we have different certain quality parameters, where I'm going to tell you what kind of quality parameters. We have a complete chapter on the quality parameters, but we have a slide in the end of this lecture where I'm going to discuss about what does it mean by the quality. And then we have an agreement, and then we start developing the architecture. The characteristics of it: iteration many on functional requirements. So we might have several iterations of the architecture. The first iteration, the second iteration, that is going to evolve by showing it to the customer, by seeing it, reviving or revising the functional requirements. Few stakeholders involved, no balancing of functional and quality requirements. So we might need to make a compromise or make a trade-off between the functional requirements and the quality requirements. So we have stakeholders, requirements, quality, agreement, development. That development actually is related to designing of the architecture, and then we have a detailed design which actually incorporates the technical details of the architecture, and then we have the information regarding the implementation when it is delivered for the implementation of the software system. More precisely, stakeholders, requirements and quality combines together become the architecture. Then it is agreement. Okay, we agree with that, and then the development. So this is the quality that I was talking to you. We know about these things. What are the stakeholders? We already know the people who are involved in the development of the system, whether from the company for whom we are going to build the system. We have requirements that are gathered from these stakeholders in a several way. If you remember the requirements elicitation techniques, interviews, brainstorming, observation, questionnaire, joint application development, etc. And then we have architecture, agreement, development. What we mean by the quality, it is stated in this slide that this can be compared with the construction of a skyscraper. Due to the complexity of such building, we need to think about the qualities of the building upfront. किस तरह की qualities? For example, if the landlord requires the building to be earthquake resistant, that these buildings that are going to be constructed, they should be earthquake resistant. If there is an earthquake, these buildings should not collapse. They should be earthquake proof. Or especially for example, after the 9/11, many buildings being constructed considering the quality parameter of the bomb proof or the aeroplane colliding proof, etc. So they are considering all of those parameters, quality constraints in order to building those architectures. So the architect over here will think about solutions from seismic engineering. Seismic engineering means which is related. Seismic is actually synonym for the earthquake. So seismic engineering means the principles which are considered for the earthquake civil engineering, and add structures to the building that can resist lateral forces. So the architecture will think of designing the skyscrapers in a way that it should incorporate the principles of seismic engineering, so that these buildings can be the earthquake resistant, earthquake proof. At this point, he will not specify the materials or the supplier of those structures, as those are construction details. He will not specify क्या चीज़ में इस्तेमाल होनी चाहिए, but only considering the principles that what kind of mechanism that are going to be used in order to make that building as a earthquake resistant. So in the same way, the software architecture is going to be designed in a way the several quality parameters that going to be provided by the customer to be considered over here. Maybe these quality parameters are already being captured in the non-functional requirement regarding the security, privacy, or etc., etc., but they can be additionally enforced by the law or by the text, or etc., etc., for that. So this is the end of our first lecture, and first week lecture we are going to discuss about the software design. In the second lecture, and we discuss about the importance or need of the software architecture from a technical point of view and from the business point of view. So guys, see you inshallah soon. Take care.